Welcome back to Jess Checks Out. I am Jess. I know that's shocking. I feel shocked every day I say it as well because I didn't go by Jess for a very long time. Okay, so this is my June TBR. It's a very short TBR because I learned from my May TBR to stop that. Do not put more than a few books on there, and that's because I'm a mood reader. And as a mood reader, I can go way off course without even trying, right? Some of the books on my list in May were ones that I was going to do for buddy reads and readathons and look, I'm doing good to remember what my name is some days, so we're just going to go with what I like to read. But there are 3 books that I'm going to definitely read in June, and that is because one of them I've been putting off reading for a couple of months, and I'm desperately wanting to because people keep talking about it. And the other 2 are what I'm going to be working on for my podcast, and I want to make sure I read them, and I'm going to talk about them a little bit on the YouTube channel, but a lot of it's going to be for my patrons of my podcast, so it's going to sound kind of strange to be doing it that way, but it's because it allows them to have access to exclusive content, and the podcast is romance, and these are romance books, so it kind of makes sense, because as I mentioned multiple times on this channel, romance is not a huge part of my reading descriptions here unless it's something that I haven't talked about on my podcast. So, but it was my patrons that bought these books for me, so we're going to go with that plan. First up is the seven husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And I have heard so many good things about this book. I have heard, oh my God, so many good things. And I cannot wait because it's like set in the 1950s and 60s and in the Elizabeth Taylor era. And if, oh, my godmother, who I mentioned in my newbie tag, really got me into reading. Like, she read so much. Any teeth chattering you hear is my dog. That is Penny, being Penny. She's not on camera, but she's going to make herself known. I love this book because it sounds like it's going to be in the golden era of Hollywood until more of a modern time. Love that. Because it says, reclusive Hollywood icon Evelyn Hugo is finally ready to tell the truth about her glamorous and scandalous life. But when she chooses unknown magazine reporter Monique Grant to write her story, no one is more astounded than Monique herself. From making her way to Los Angeles in the 50s to leaving show business in the 80s, and of course the 7 husbands along the way, Evelyn spools a tale of ruthless ambition, unexpected friendship, and a great forbidden love. But as Evelyn's story nears its conclusion, it becomes clear that her life intersects with Monique's own in tragic and irreversible ways. And that sounds so good. Because, one, that actually reminds me a lot of Debbie Reynolds, too. If you know anything about Debbie Reynolds, who is, of course, Carrie mother, but Debbie Reynolds was a star in her own right around the same time as Liz Taylor and was one of her best friends for a very long time. There's a lot of intersection of that. You can even sometimes catch a little bit of maybe some Katharine Hepburn and maybe Lauren Bacall in some of those descriptions. The thing about the irrevocable life pattern stuff reminds me a little bit of, if you've ever read Lace, it's about a young starlet who must go find out who her mother is among the 3 friends. She was born, I can't remember when it was. I think it was like around the 40s, somewhere around there in Switzerland. It's this great, I think it's Shirley Cochran is the writer. I read it. Actually, my husband bought it for me, and I'm so mad I could not bring it back with me because it was a reread. My godmother, again, she read it, and I loved it. So I'm so excited for this. I have some spoilers, but I've been doing a really good job of not getting too spoiled when it comes to this book. I know that Bookstagram is loving it. Oh yeah, all my social media links will be in the description below, and I mention that because I actually do talk about books a lot on there. Like, it's an entire book account that goes with this one, so I thought I'd point that out. But what I love about this book also is, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like little like gossip column-y type stuff, and I love that kind of mixed media and books. I kind of really enjoy that, the way the books kind of weave their own tale. That's one reason I love Spoiler Alert last year, so I'm all about it. Now, my last 2 books are interconnected. One is, to the surprise of nobody, Wicked Lovely. And I read this book 10 years ago, somewhere around there, and it was really good. I bought these used off of the internet. There's a website called, for those of you in Germany, if you're watching this and you know, there is MediaMarkt. But if you also go to eBay, you can sometimes find them cheaper on eBay from the same company. Just a heads up, and free shipping. Anyway, so I bought these used, and like I actually didn't have a copy of these when I was in the US. I read them all from the library. So this is very exciting for me to actually have my own copy. And I actually have the German copy as well, because I'm learning how to read German, and the best way is to know the source. And I have the Wicked Lovely source right here. So here is the basic facts: is there are like 4 courts in this world, and it's a fae, and you know, Aslan gets kind of brought back into the fae world, not by choice, but by fate, and so she gets drawn in, and those around her are as well. And the fae world is kind of in the middle of going into their war, or they're gearing up for that kind of situation. It's very interesting, and it's very fun, and it's just something that consistently happens. And it's a very like detailed world. There's like, I know there's like summer, winter, high, and dark court. And I really like the dark court, but there's this really interesting way of how things work and how people are together. And so I can't wait. Yes, I'll read you the description. I don't know if I have to, but I'll read it for this one, just because I don't know how many people have been reading Wicked Lovely in the past like decade. But it says, Rule 3, don't stare at invisible fairies. Rule 2, don't speak to invisible fairies. Rule 1, don't ever attract their attention. That always goes so well. Okay, Aslan has always seen fairies, powerful and dangerous, they walk hidden in the mortal world. When the rules that have kept Aslan safe from them stop working, everything is suddenly on the line. Her freedom, her best friend Seth, her life, everything. At fairy intrigue, mortal love, and the clash of ancient rules and modern expectations roll together in Melissa Marr's stunning 21st century fairy tale. Love this one. About a decade ago, I was reading a lot of YA, and so this is kind of super important, I think, for me to kind of go back and read the fairy YA I was reading at the time, because I didn't really read a lot of other stuff because I read what was at the library, free as always. And so there was a shift where I was reading like a couple of fairy tales and stuff like that. There was like the Iron King, Queen, that series. I cannot remember the thing of it. I'll put the title up here. But I also, I was reading The Wicked Lovely, and I was reading, there was one set about Shakespeare I'd really like to find again. But in general, that's kind of what it was. And then to follow up, I am reading Ink Exchange, which is the next in the Wicked Lovely series. And each one is set in a different court or a different situation, so you're not reading the same thing over and over and over again. I really appreciate that. I actually bought a paperback and got a hardback. This is like one of 2 hardbacks I own, because I generally don't buy them because they're more expensive. But I was like, hey, if you want to send me a hardback for a paperback price, I'm taking it. It says, images cluttered the page, but one tattoo set her nerves on edge. Inky black eyes, surrounded by wings like shadows coalescing, mine. The thought, the need, the reaction was overpowering. Leslie looked up. This one, she said. I need this one. But the image is more than just tempting art, and it draws her into a world of shadows and desire, into the world of fairy. And I like it because it's a nice change and a nice movement in the series. And, Mar does this really good job of building and building and building, and so I can't wait to reread these 2. And then the idea is, in June I'm reading 2, in July I'm reading 2, and then in August I'm reading the last one of the actual series. And then I actually have a prequel, I guess, that I got online. I bought it when it was on sale at Amazon, and it's called Cold Iron Heart, so I can't wait to read it because I haven't read it at all. So I'm really excited to go back into that world. But that's basically my TBR for June because I don't want to overwhelm myself and feel burdened to read things and for this to become a chore. Instead, I want to have fun. I want you guys to have fun because if I just read the same things I say I'm going to read, then it kind of becomes a lot, right? It gets very boring very quickly. So hopefully, you have read these books. If you haven't, I hope you will read them soon. And I guess to put the emoji thing at the bottom, I was gonna say put a fairy, but I don't think you want to put a fairy there. How about you put a church for the wedding? Something different. Hi, editing me here. I wanted to add that there's actually an addition to the June TBR. I am reading Children of Blood and Bone as a buddy read with Insomniac Reader on Instagram. So, hadn't planned that when I did that, but it came up after I already filmed. So, look, it's the first editing me added to a video. Okay, guys, you know the drill. If you like this content, please subscribe and hit the bell. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I will have all my social media below, as well as any new YouTubers I have found along the way that I think should be included, or any cool videos. There's always something in the description below to kind of deal with the book community. And I will see you next time, guys.